My name is Chance Bro, and I own Cajun Combat Martial Arts. We're a jiu-jitsu academy in the greater New Orleans area. We're in Metairie. My love for martial arts came at a really early age. My grandpa was a pro boxer and a kung fu black belt, and we lived with him growing up. So right off the rip, like since I could walk, we were watching like samurai documentaries and all that jazz, and he taught me how to fight and hold my hands, and I was obsessed since I could remember. And being a little kid, I wasn't like most kids. I didn't watch Elmo or anything like that. It was all Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. So that was like my third birthday party was Dragon Ball Z all the way. I was Future Trunks. So was obsessed with fighting since I could remember. And then at a certain point, I saw the UFC, and I'm like, I could be a real life anime character. And then from there, that's what I wanted to pursue. So I started jiu-jitsu at 14 years old. I did other martial arts before and all. I did the boxing and the kung fu and taekwondo. And then eventually I really wanted to do MMA, but my grades were poor, and my parents made me the pact that if I got the honor roll, they'd put me in jiu-jitsu. So at 14, I started that. And about a year in, so from 14, I was at the end of 14, from 14 to about to be 16, I got my blue belt. Then from 16 to 17, I got my purple belt. At 19, right when I turned 19, I got my brown belt. And then at 21, I got my black. So competition was like a big part of my journey throughout. At about 3 months in, I was competing. At 14, they didn't have a bunch of teenagers, so I was fighting adults at that age. And I found success really early on. So at 14 years old, I started. I was just doing like little local stuff, like little state tournaments and whatnot. And then blue belt, same little jazz. I was doing the local like AGFs, Nagas, the new breeds and all whenever they would come through, and I travel for it. Once again, adult divisions, lots of success, did the opens and all that. Purple belt is when I started to take it a lot more serious. At that point, they would combine divisions. So at purple belt back in the day, it was you would compete with browns and black belts too. So at that point, I would start doing like pro matches, like for Fight to Win, and that's when I started to get on the scene for that. At about brown belt is when I really took off with competing. I was on the Honored Invitational, won the 155-pound division, and then defended my title the following year in 2017. I was streamed on UFC Fight Pass, and it was for jiu-jitsu, it was a pretty big deal for its time. I was really big into the no-gi sub-only scene at the time whenever that was first starting up. Leg locks were my jam, so that was definitely part of the scene. I have over 100 leg lock wins in competition. Yeah, heel hooks, ankle locks, all that. And then I sat on my brown belt for a while because my coach couldn't promote me because he wasn't a second degree black belt. So I got a lot of competition in at brown. And then when I got my black, I immediately started competing right away, wanted to show my coach I deserved it. So did the AGF Nationals, won that in 2019, and a couple more state tournaments afterwards. Yeah, I think the thing I'm most proud of was the Honored Invitational titles, just because it was like a big deal for its time to me. It was like Eddie Bravo was a commentator for it. Brennan Schaub, who's a former UFC fighter, he's been on the Joe Rogan Experience a bunch of times. Cody Garbrandt commentated whenever I defended the title in 2017, and he gave me his number, and I got to connect with him and all, and that was like, he was the bantamweight champion at the time. That's right after he did what he did to Dominic. So that was, to have him like affirm to me that I was good, you know, and commentate my match and all, was like, I think that's like the thing I'm absolutely most proud of. And then next would be in 2019, I did the AGF Nationals, and for that, you have to earn your spot for it. You have to win all the regional ones, and then all the tournament winners meet up in Oklahoma for nationals, and it was all really good black belts, and I was able to finish every match for that. I had 4 leg lock wins in a row to get the title for that, and won me some cash and all for it. And I would say that that'd be like my next biggest one that like I'm really proud of. And then after that, it would be the fight to win. So I'm undefeated in fight to win. I think I'm 3-0 in that. I didn't get to do it a ton, but what I did, it was good production, large crowds, and I got all finishes. So really proud of that as well. Completely. So the competition thing was huge for me, for the fact that like I knew what I needed as a competitor coming up, and I didn't necessarily have that coming up. So to have a school to facilitate that completely with like that in mind, to help people who want to have the same path I did, is definitely part of the reason I wanted to open this up. So the type of environment I foster here and would like to like continue to spread is like one of, we help each other and we're laid back, but we're also in here trying to really learn how to fight. So a balance of that. Like, life is stressful enough. I don't want people to get here and feel like they're walking on eggshells and like it's uptight and they gotta worry about calling me master or whatever. Like none of that weird stuff. You know, I'm coaching, that's it. And at the same time, I don't want to make it easy for everyone. I want it to be effective, and I want us to learn how to actually do jiu-jitsu, you know? So maintaining the integrity of that while still having fun and being laid back is the type of environment I want to foster here. I'm sorry, excuse me, I left out a really big part of it. Doing that with no-gi as well. So all of our fundamental classes here are no-gi. That's what I specialize in, that's what I prefer. So having that environment without a gi on is also like a big part of it.
Okay.
So that's kind of a loaded question. So I started teaching pretty much like right as I started training. Like a year in, my coach saw me like helping somebody off to the side that was new. And he saw me working with him and he was like, hey, you want to help me with kids class? And then from there, I started helping him, and then he saw I was good at it. So I got made an assistant instructor. I was 15 years old, and Derek hooked me up with a gig where I wasn't paying any tuition, and 15, I got paid a little something too, and that was like big. You can't even legally work at that age. So having the combination of this is work now and being able to get a little bread at 15 was like huge for me. I can't thank Derek enough for that opportunity. 16, at about 16, 17, at that point, I was the head coach for the kids' classes, so I got to experience running a program for myself. And towards 18, from there, I was teaching the advanced no-gi at the gym, and I got to bring in a lot of the modern stuff going on at that time. At the time I came up, it was whenever like Gary Tonin, Eddie Cummings and all was popping off on the scene. So it was a lot of like inversions and leg locks and Imanari rolls and bolos. And I came from like a real traditional Carlson Gracie smash and pass school. So I got to bring a lot of that to the school and was able to teach. So teaching was always part of my journey. During this time of me competing and teaching over there, I was the head referee for American Grappling Federation. And they're pretty much like the equivalent to like NAGA, where they travel and they go to different cities and all. So I would fly in and be in California one weekend and New York the next. During that time while we were in, we would train at different schools, and I got the opportunity to teach at a lot of these different academies. Different places would fly me out for my leg lock experience. So I got to do seminars around the US, just showing my game and all. So teaching has always been part of my journey. Don't overload yourself on video knowledge and stuff. Try to watch videos that are relevant to what your coach is teaching, or something relevant to your body type. Like if you're 5'6" and 180 pounds, don't watch Keenan Cornelius. It's not going to benefit you. You know, you're not going to be throwing triangles instantly off your back. You're not built for that. So study people that are relative to your size or how you move. So if you want to, if you're like short and stocky, find competitors and watch their film that are short and stocky and see what their game is and try to copy that. Another thing would be, while you're in, drill as much as you can. Like, there's a lot of dead time, I notice. Like, people will do the move like 4 or 5 times, and if there's still time on the clock, they start talking and stuff. you're really wasting the valuable mat time you have if you start doing that. So utilize your drilling and be real intentional with like repping back to back to back, and get as many reps in as you can before coach gets y'all to circle back up and start on the next move.
Okay.
And one more thing. I would say take your strength and conditioning serious, because a lot of times whenever you're fighting and you're going, if your joints and all aren't strong, you're gonna get injured. So if you just do stuff to just strengthen out like everything around your ligaments and joints, that's gonna save you a lot of injuries down the road. I feel like for self-defense, a lot of the stuff for it is like you're going through sequences of practicing punch blocking, and it's not really as much sparring, whereas sport never really practices the punch blocking and all, but they go live 100%. I think that going live should be like the ultimate, like that's what's actually going to make you better at real life, like self-defense and defending yourself. So I would say the difference between sport and self-defense type jiu-jitsu is, I don't think neither of them have it down packed. I think if you want to defend yourself, learn mixed martial arts, learn MMA. And if you learn legit MMA, like train like you're getting ready to do an amateur cage fight, you do that for a year, you're going to be self-defense ready. I want to leave people better than what I found them, you know? Jiu-jitsu has done so much for me, and I just want to give people the gift of that, you know, the community, the feeling of confidence in yourself, realizing how powerful you actually are, you know, and in reaching all those little goals you set for yourself over the course of a jiu-jitsu lifetime while you're doing it. Like, I want to give people that and show them the satisfaction and power that comes from learning it.
And you said jiu-jitsu has given you a lot and that you want to give it to other people. What has jiu-jitsu given you specifically?
Everything. And that's really broad, but like I met my wife through jiu-jitsu. She was also an active competitor. When we met, we were teenagers, and that's how I met her. I got 2 kids now, and I would have never had that had I not met her through jiu-jitsu. My kids also train, so that's something that I can connect with them as well. My closest friends all come from me training jiu-jitsu, you know, traveling. My parents didn't go on vacations and stuff growing up. I got to see the world because of jiu-jitsu. All the opportunities it's granted me to go to different places between either teaching, competing, or reffing, you know. I got to travel a lot through it. And I would say like sense of self, you know, sense of self, like being a young man and not having an identity, you know, as a teenager, and being able to tie that to something as masculine as jiu-jitsu is like huge, you know. So broad question, but like everything. It's who I am, you know. And that's like the crust of why I wanted to open Cage and Combat. It was just it's done so much for me and touched my life. Like, I wouldn't give up my experience I got from jiu-jitsu for $1 million, you know. It's that priceless.